Colleagues,
yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank
you so much. So, Honorable Dean, dear colleagues and academic authorities, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have been given the task to illustrate an immense subject, which is cultural diplomacy along the Silk Road. As I say, I will try to be brief. I could talk for hours or days or weeks or for millennia, because this is the duration of the interchanges of people, ideas, customs, habits, wars, warriors, merchants, along a vast territory. But there are some key points which I summarize for you. An historical context. The Silk Road was an intense network of routes connecting Asia, Europe, Africa, Middle East. And as I was saying in my introduction yesterday, strictly speaking, we cannot refer to a Silk Road, but to many roads which has been characterized by silk, which is a smooth material. It facilitated not only the exchange of goods, but also cultural ideas, languages, religions, and art. So we human beings are focalizing our life on a series of wars, negative thoughts, but in my opinion, it is the role of diplomats and historians to nominate that there have been a lot of trade and harmonious cultural exchanges along those routes. And I am a cultural diplomat. So means I am an expert on diplomacy and good relations between people in the sense of understanding each other, which is the true essence of every human relation. So cultural diplomacy does involve using cultural elements such as art, music, literature, heritage, to foster understanding and build good relationship between nations. And the Silk Road indeed, or the Silk Roads indeed, exemplified cultural diplomacy through its diverse interactions. And I must say, one brilliant epitome of this idea of good relations is the invention of the slogan which was made at the beginning of New China, that diplomacy is not diplomacy, it's people-to-people diplomacy. So even more now than ever, this idea with different titles has been adopted all around the world. So nowadays, the role of an quote-unquote ambassador, consul, is not only the administrative facilitation, but is understanding what the other person means and adapt our own understanding to that and of the situation. I will talk later of the BRI initiative of China. I am the cultural ambassador for communication between China and Italy. This incredible honor has been given to me as a foreigner for the first time of the history of China. After Marco Polo, let's say, Matteo Ricci, those people are giant of cultural relation, and I am a pygmy. Nonetheless, there have been a few examples of people who have been traveling east and west and who have been bringing ideas from the west to east, and reciprocally, when they came back, they brought ideas and innovation and science back to the West. And the BRI, One Belt, One Road initiative of China today, aims to strengthen people to people. And this includes promoting inter-civilization exchanges and building bridges of friendship. Now, heritage can indeed serve as a powerful tool for fostering connection amongst different countries and people, so much so that nowadays we not only refer to diplomacy as cultural diplomacy, but we do refer to heritage diplomacy. Heritage, not only tangible heritage, but intangible heritage, as it is being defined by UNESCO and the United Nations, is a series, an array of cultural items, silk, porcelain, archaeological sites along the routes between East and West. And these cultural heritage sites and ideas do shape up trade, infrastructure, and security. Can you imagine that I made a calculation on how many UNESCO heritage sites are along the traditional, to say, Silk Road? 34 Silk Road related properties as outstanding universal value. This is very important, very, very important, because these specific highlights of heritage are considered some steps of ladder bringing to the good communication between people and nations, always from the point of view of cosmopolitarianism. Allow me to use this neologism, because let's not forget, the challenge of cultural diplomacy is to balance between one's own cultural heritage and value and other values which can be considered from the point of view of the cosmos, of a global view. This understanding ipso facto leads to tolerance, because tolerance is the key of fostering peace amongst nations. Once people request, while understanding the personality of other people, then we have acceptance of ideas which are different from our ideas. And why not, from the point of view of appreciating the beauty of the interests of other habits, then we can feel ourselves a little bit more humble on what we have today, because everybody is proud of his own legacy, but maybe we should be proud of someone else's legacy as well. So cultural exchange flourished among the Silk Road, fostering mutual understanding. And there have been many, many examples of in exchange of language, for example, and researching the common roots of some nowadays language taken in Italy, for example, or in the West, taken from the roots of other languages along the terrestrial Silk Road. Religious exchanges, for example, my latest interest, believe it or not, is the appearance of the cult of Mithra along the Silk Road. And a lot of habits, even please do not consider me as heretical, but a lot of rituals in some religions of today do take their appearance or symbol from Mithraism. And Mithraism was a cult which flourished along all these countries, which once were administered by the Roman Empire or by the Persian Empire, and still have their vision and their legacy in today's idea and rituals. For example, you know that during the Holy Mass of Catholic religion, the bishops do have the mitra. Mitra was the hat of Mitra. So you see, there is also an exchange of symbolism and habits along the Silk Road. I will tell you another incredible coincidence on the question of Mitra. Mitra's hat, or the Mitra of bishops or important people, was considered as the symbol of liberté, égalité. That's why in a famous occasion, during the French Revolution, the revolutionary people captured Louis XVI and by force gave on him the red hat of Mitra, which means that the spiritual heritage was not given directly to the king by an abstract entity, but the king was reigning because of being so allowed by the people. Can you imagine? This is an idea which came along the Silk Road. And dans les Jeux Olympiques 2024 in Paris, you know how the mascots, the young people making service, the volunteers, how they are called? Les mitrins. Can you imagine? Because Marianne, the personification of France, does have the mitran hat. So these are things which may sound a little bit strange, but they do demonstrate that along the Silk Road, there have been ideas which travel and which have been adopted for their spiritual content. And this is the essence of people-to-people diplomacy. Now, art made a significant impact on understanding of people on the Silk Road. And diverse artistic style, techniques, and motifs traveled along the Silk Road. And in China, the Buddhist cave paintings in Don Juan, for example, as the genial Lithuanian, I think, historian of art, Jurgis Baltrusaid, mentioned in his masterpiece, Le Moyen Âge fantastique. The angels, for the first time, the depiction of angels came from the Don Juan grottos, and actually the angels angels and demons in the Middle Age and Renaissance painting in Italy are the exact copy of the angel and supernatural beings depicted in Don Juan grottos. So perhaps for those who would like to go deeper into the symbology along the Silk Road, this work by Baltrusaidis, Le Moyen Âge fantastique, is indeed a fundamental reading. Now, why the road? Of course, I don't have to explain to you why the Silk Road is called the Silk Road, because silk indeed was traded along those routes. And it was not only a commodity for clothing, but a canvas. Canvas, I mean, it's a joke, of course, talking about a mosaic. It was a depiction, a tapestry, because the motif embroidered or interwoven into the silk material were also a mean to exchange motif and religious idea behind those motifs. The result of this interchange was a hybrid, artistic influence hybrid. Greco-Buddhist, for instance, blended Hellenistic and Indian elements. You know, the Gandhara civilization in Pakistan, the fasting Buddha. This is another example how the interchange took place. Instruments, melodic exchange, religious music, Buddhist chants, and Sufi Qawwali, Taoist themes resonated along the Silk Road. Social connection and spiritual connection are one part of the interpersonal and international relations. Now, a quick look of diplomats along the Silk Road, both historically and in modern times. Under the Han Dynasty in China, more or less the 2nd century before Christian era, Chinese Emperor Wu Ji actively sought diplomatic and trade relations with Western neighbors. And more tribes in the course of history, more tribes and states along the Silk Road established diplomatic relations with the Han Empire. And these relations, as I say, and I wanted to stress this point, diplomacy is not only the, thank God, there is not only the resolution of wars and conflict. Diplomacy is, cultural diplomacy is fostering peace. And since human beings are used to reflect on negative thoughts, it is the great and good time to focus on good and positive thoughts. So nowadays, while the Silk Road routes may not have seen heavy traffic,
Katılımcılar niye olmuyor peki? Şov ne demek? Göstermiyor.
Şu o dili gösteriyor.
Şöyle.
Ben gelip isteyemiyorum.
Yok. Tuğba sunum izni sunum izni ver.
Şu anda yapabiliriz.
Yapabilir miyim?
Aha, evet.
Sanıyorum paylaştım.
Evet.